Hey, Robert. Awesome lap, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming back to me on this. I really appreciate it. I really, like I say, I really like progressing with you. Sorry for my delay in getting this video back to you. I've just been back and forth to Europe all week, a couple times, so I've been a little bit gassed and haven't really had the time to sit down, or get in one place for long enough. But I've gone through the lap. Like I say, tremendous lap. Big thing that, as you mentioned, you are waiting until we're really at the apex to get on the gas. And I mean, I hope you notice, I can notice just from the video, the improvement that that has done for us. I mean, I should comment that I think this lap is like 5 seconds quicker than our previous lap. So we're definitely finding time together. But, and that is, I say that nonchalantly, but let me tell you, that's tremendous. That's awesome. But yeah, so you completely changed your patience level on throttle, which is just awesome, and it allows us to find a bunch of that time. And also, you have been using those using the gearbox a bit more, which I think, like, I mean, on the back straight, we're almost 1,000 RPM higher in third when we are hitting the brakes for the next braking zone. So, I mean, it's obviously working. It's allowing us to rotate the car a little bit better. Still some things we can work on from here, but massive, massive improvements. I genuinely can't say enough. You've done a really fantastic job thus far. All right, so let's get going here. We come down into turn one. Very good. So one thing we had talked about last time was just to be a little bit more aggressive on, excuse me, early in the morning, jet lag, the whole nine. So we talked about being a little bit more aggressive on lines and maybe over curves and stuff. We're going to get into that. I would say this first section, you do quite well. So we oh, it's not this section, sorry. We're good through one. We fly down here. We catch these guys in a heartbeat, so that's good. Down to third. So, I like this approach here. I mean, it's a two-part thing. We, if I just rewind back, this is a unique area because it's kind of a two-part spot, or a two-part spot. So, as we, let me get the right drawing here. As we come across here, part of it is we want to set up for this right-hander down here. So we want to like be in good position. But part of it is we want to carry the speed from the straight, and keep the speed going. So it's a little bit of a pick'em. I think you do this really well, and I think you take the standard approach. You're not sacrificing each corner. You're doing each corner equally, like, let's say with equal preparation. So again, I think that's pretty good. I mean, if we're looking for small amounts of time, because let's see here, because the track does one of these. So, we're, let's see here. Let me get my, so we're coming in and we're driving, I don't know. This is longer in here, but anyway. And so I kind of messed up this drawing. Anyway, so we're just kind of taking the regular approach. There's that. I'm going to do this just so that we, that's a little better. Okay. What you can try, like once we're maybe going a little let's say, looking for small amounts of time rather than big chunks of time, is we can try, not like that. We can try, oh my goodness. Okay, so coming in here, slowing the car down maybe a little bit more, and obviously focusing on this coming out on the exit better, but having a better, let's say, exit out of here. So just holding it left a little bit more and then having a better approach at the right-hander to get a better exit. We can try that. It'll allow us to, maximize the braking a little bit more. I mean, I think it's a pick 'em. I'm not really telling you to do this. It's something that we can trial. So what I'm saying is basically just holding it to the left here, like getting the car to rotate and holding it to the left, rather than right now we are getting on the gas and letting the car come out a little bit more. So I think if we can just maybe hold it to the left a little bit more, it'll allow us to have a better approach to the right and get on the gas harder and sort of straight away. Maybe at the same point, but just get on the gas cleaner. Something to consider, or maybe trial, but I don't think that's letter of the law. That's not something I necessarily want you to change, because I think we're doing it quite well as it is. Yeah, so good exit. Now, we come sort of straight back to I do notice this in our flowing corners, is you keep flowing, which is a good thing, but you're putting extra effort in for yourself that you don't need to. So we've come here, we're on the white line, and we can see, we realistically can see our next apex. So we say, okay, this is our apex here. This is where we got to get to. If it were me, I would, really then not come off this white line and bring the car down here. So we're, hugging the white line all the way and not just doing any more sort of effort that we need to. You kind of come out here like this, you come out here like this, and then kind of have to get it back. And it's just extra effort and things that, you're making a turn in that you have to hit rather than really just following the line. So see, then we kind of come out here, and then, I get you want to sort of straighten it out for the braking zone. I appreciate that. And if the car requires it, then for sure. But if this is the case, then I do want to make sure that, we are, like really, where's my drawing? We are really hugging the circuit to come down into here, so that we're getting through here really quite nice and back up the hill. So, just make sure we're getting to the left side of the circuit. I appreciate if we're trying to get it very nice straight braking, because really the line I'm mentioning, it would be kind of coming more like this, like we'd be braking more in this approach rather than how you're doing it kind of in this approach. So technically you've got the car prepared better than I would in suggestion. But it's all about how we're getting it rotated down here. So if we need the car approached like this to get the car to rotate, then so be it. I'm kind of angling us in a little bit differently, using less meters or less distance down the straight, and getting us there. And then when we come down here, this is something that we can more or less talk about. So still here, I mean, we're off the brake here, and then we're kind of back into the throttle. And again, I would like to have the car rotated. So we still have some work to do because I would like to have the car rotated a bit more so that when we get back to throttle, we're going from, 0% to 100% very, very shortly, in a very, very short period of time. So I appreciate that not every corner is specifically power only at the apex, but we do need to have the car rotated. Wherever we can have the car rotated and pointed, that's when we can get to full throttle. So, I think if here, yes, we do now have the car rotated. We have the car rotated up the hill. So now we really should be getting to full throttle. But we're still carrying this sort of middle of the road throttle percentage, and waiting. Okay, now we're full throttle. So I want to shorten up that time. So let the car dip just those couple of mile per hour. Remember the graph I drew you before, where it'll kind of look like this. And what we're doing currently is we're doing one of these. And what we want to do, like where we're slowing the car down, then we're trying to get in the throttle, we're holding this throttle for a long time, then we're getting to full throttle. And realistically, what we want to do is more along these lines. That's not correct. So maybe we can break it into the corner a little bit deeper, slow it down a little bit more, and then have that on throttle. So yes, we have a lower minimum speed, but that's where we're getting the car to rotate. So this here, like this braking here, because we're going to a lower minimum speed and we need to get the car to rotate later in the corner, of course, because where you've got the car slowed down now is too early to rotate the car and get on the gas and come out. So we need to just, we're on the brakes, brake a little lighter, not later. So just brake lighter to kind of roll that speed a little bit deeper into the corner. And then we'll rotate the car, even though we're traveling, let's say corner speed is 48 miles per hour. Let's say maybe it'll be 46, right? But we'll get the car rotated and then we'll be on the gas and we'll come out so much stronger that we'll have a much higher speed. And I think we'll have a major, major success, to the point that if this is where I think it is on the track, if this is where we come up to where we're basically on the limiter in third gear, I think we may have to upshift to fourth if we're getting the right exit. Okay, so just think about this a little bit. That's really the adjustment I would make, is just allow the car a little bit deeper into the corner, get it rotated, and then get on the gas in one fell swoop. Just from the point you touch the gas to the point you get to full throttle. Let's shorten that up. The more we can shorten, not to the point where it's just easy flat, because then we're likely traveling too slow, but to the point where you still have to feed it in, but we're feeding it in very quickly. Yeah, because this is where before we were doing the third gear, remember, and now we're second to third gear. We're 1,000 RPM higher already. I think with that little adjustment, we'll definitely be needing to dip fourth just as we crest the hill. Okay, so I had mentioned that, we're going to attack the start of the S's, kind of give away the middle parts, and then get the good exits. And you did that to a T. You did exactly what I had said. I think it worked out because we're carrying a lot of speed in here. And then we kind of have to give away this one. You had mentioned, you might need to try left foot braking. We're not shifting in here. So I would, you know, it's up to your comfort level, man. I mean, I only left foot brake. You know, like when I'm in of course, if I'm in a car like this, then there's concessions you have to make. But I mean, my whole life I've left foot braked, and so when I'm on a racetrack, I do whatever I can to left foot brake now. I think even when I was in the Porsche, I left foot braked. It had a sequential box, but you know, I don't think I've ever right foot braked. But coming from a guy in a car where you do have to right foot brake, through here, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily suggest just changing your style. Do what's comfortable for you, but we can be more aggressive. We can be more aggressive, you know, over these curbs a little bit, get the car sharpened in here. Good on power, everything like that. Your flow, let me say something. Your flow through here is a massive difference from before. And it's a massive, massive improvement from before. So everything we're talking about now is a completely next level from where we were at the last video. So I want you to take some of it with a grain of salt, because the improvements that you're making are actually mind-blowing at the step that you've made. So I want to massively congratulate you on that, because we're already looking at next level. Okay. Your lines through here are good. Your approach is good. The way that you attack in the specific corners is good. So I know you think we have some work to do in the S's, which of course there's work to do everywhere, always. For me, for Dion, for every single racing driver in the world, there's work to do. But I think, you know, our approach here is good. We're being proper on the throttle and really being patient on it, allowing the car to rotate before we're getting back into the gas. One thing I will say is don't get caught up in the flow. So don't get caught up in the left, right, left. We attacked the first one really good. And I can't say enough about it, because it's, I think, found us a little bit of time. But we can get to, see here, we can get to 1.2 G in cornering. So I realistically want to see that consistently, because if that's what we can do, then that's how hard we can really attack. So we get back to the left side, pretty good. We come in here. So here we're only 1.1, 1.1. So I feel we're not working the car quite as hard through here, but maybe by the time we're really in the mid corner, we're on the gas. So that could play a factor in it. And then here we get back to the right side. We have to lift here and then get back into the gas. In a perfect world, you know, once we keep remembering to look ahead, right? Eyes up. So we see we're coming here. We're coming here and we see, okay, this is our, let's say, brake turn-in point. We don't have a braking point, but our turn-in point. All right. And our apex is here. So realistically, we know our car trajectory is this. We're getting it back to the right side of the circuit. Once we've got the car traveling to the right side of the circuit, you know, we need to be looking at our apex, and we need to be judging off of our apex. We do a pretty big lift here, and I don't think it's required. I really don't. But we do a big lift because we're kind of missing this apex a little bit. So let's be a little bit more aggressive in getting this car in. Of course, it's over the hill, so we're going to be loose coming down the hill a little bit. But I think we can work a lot harder to get the car into the apex there a little bit better. And then, you know, allow us to carry that speed over the hill. And then same down here. We're off throttle. We turn the car in, but we're not working the car, you know, as much as we really could. And we do have room on the exit. So, you know, I would try instead of these big lifts, try, maybe just lifting out to 5% throttle, 10% throttle, 15% throttle. You're going to ease yourself and find that, in actual fact, I can carry a lot of speed through here. You can be a little bit of, you can be pretty aggressive to hold the car down to this right side. So let's see here. We're kind of, right now, we're taking a little bit of this approach where we're being pretty conservative on both sides. We can be, we can come in a little bit harder here and allow the car out just as far, so not where we're jumping the car over the curb, but you got to understand, like, if we, how should I do this? Okay, we're just going to do, and this isn't going to look right. Okay, so let's say these are our tires. Front, rear, whatever. The reality is, when we're in the corner, this puppy is lifted up. Whether it's still touching the ground, it's still touching the ground. But this puppy is completely unweighted. So when we run over a curb on this side, there's really not too much of it doesn't upset the chassis too much, because right now the chassis is realistically like this, right? So we've got body roll. So the chassis is already lifting up this inside corner. So when it gives us a little bit more grace to be a little bit more aggressive on the inside curb because of that. Now, it doesn't allow us to be any more aggressive on the exit curb, like on the outside, but it does allow us to be a little bit more aggressive on the inside. So this will roll over this curb a little bit better. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and let's try to, maybe it'll allow us to be a little bit more aggressive through here, and we'll have a little bit better angle coming down the straight. Because I understand, like, yes, we have a ton of room out here, and I understand that the issue that we have out here is, so here's our exit. This is where we're focused on. We're focused on getting the car in this direction, which we've done. The issue is, if we dip a wheel off here, we're off into the boondocks. So I understand that, and I understand that we want to be, a little bit, there's so little time to gain in keeping it flat, yet there's so much to lose if we dip a wheel off. So I appreciate that, but still, we can be a little bit more aggressive on the initial entry part. And with confidence, we'll be a little bit more aggressive getting to the outside of the track. And then, yeah, here, I mean, we're on the brakes, boom, we're into the throttle. I would say that's good. We're good through there. But we do this pull it back to the left thing a little bit more. So this is more of a kink, right? We have to treat this a little bit more as a kink. We're giving this corner way too much respect. We should just come straight over, because we want to keep the speed up, we want to accelerate out, and we want to have our car prepared for the next right-hander quite well. But we're really kind of driving around this, and it's causing us a little bit of a headache, because we're having to, I should have used red on that, because we're kind of pulling the car back this way, driving around, and then having to get, back over to that side. If we're just here and we just go, yeah, we're going to there, then let's do it. Let's try it. Let's try to be a little bit more aggressive through here over the curb. Because again, we're unweighted on the inside. I think there's time to gain. So here. See, we're kind of, we're in and around. Let's try to eliminate that a little bit more. It's gonna have a better preparation for us coming into this right-hander. And again, if we have a little bit better preparation, and if we're looking ahead, then the reality is, you know, we'll see, okay, this is where we need to get the car to the left side, and this is our apex point over here. So we're driving like this, and then we're driving like that. That's the key, right? So how do we do that? Well, when we come out of here, we get the car to the left side. Okay, I'm getting the car to the left side now. Now there's little I can do more so to get the car right over, or get the car left over here. So in that case, I need to shift my focus to my apex. I'm looking at the apex. That's where I need to get to. That's where I need to hit. And if I hit the apex, then I'm able to carry my speed over this hill. So it's a little bit blind. So you have to do a little bit extra effort. You have to be a little bit more prepared on getting over here. You know, whether it's relating what we can see here and what we can see here, or, you know, just relating to where we see the grass disappear. Some geographical reference is what we have to utilize in order to get ourselves right to that apex. Because once we know that, once we're confident that we're going to hit that apex, then we don't have this lift. I'll tell you right now, we won't have this, you know, sympathy lift kind of thing. We'll definitely be, we'll be carrying the throttle, whether it's full throttle or not. I don't care so much, but we'll be carrying the throttle. As we'll, you know, be a little bit more sure coming over this hill, and be, you know, we'll be able to be more aggressive. Because if you watch, again, what was our magic number? 1.2? 0.8, 0.9. Now 1 down the hill. Okay, so we can be a little bit more aggressive and get the car over that hill, over the apex a little bit better there. And here, I mean, you lift. It's up to you. I don't think we need to lift, but I'll allow you to be comfortable for now, for sure. Okay, and again, so this is the last one we need to talk about. So again, I still think we're on the, just like the last hairpin. They're very similar corners, and you do them very similar approaches, and we need to do similar changes. So let's get the car rotated a little bit more first. You've delayed when you get on throttle, and I love that. So now we're really getting to throttle here. But two things. I want to shorten up how long it takes us to get to full throttle. So whether we need to rotate the car more, I think you've got the car actually rotated a little bit better here than the last hairpin. So we're kind of in this approach. If we need to have the car just rotated this way a little bit more, then, you know, let's do that before we get back to throttle. But the big thing here is we need to look ahead on our exit. We really need to look ahead at where we can go with the car. Because what we do right now is we hold it tight, just like everybody in front of us does. We hold it tight, hold it tight, hold it tight, hold it tight. And then we end up just in the middle of the track. And it's like all flat left-handers onto the front straight. So we don't need to hold it to the middle of the track. We're sacrificing our exit for no reason. Let's let this car come out. And so maybe that allows us to get to 100% throttle here. Fill this all up, okay? So that it'll drive the car out a little bit further. We'll be doing a little bit more distance, but in reality, see, like we never get to the outside of the track. And then, okay, now we're full throttle. But why were we delaying in full throttle? Where look where we end up. We've got all the room in the world. So let's push ourselves a little bit more, you know, and focus on, maybe we don't have to slow down the apex of the corner, but we can get to full throttle sooner. Or if we have to slow down the apex of the corner a little bit more, let's get to full throttle sooner, you know, so let's get that better exit. But I mean, I think you made a tremendous jump, and for sure, we're going forward at a rapid rate. So to find 5 seconds, man, I wish. Trust me, if I found 5 seconds, I'd be in a Formula One car right now. So, congratulations, man. For sure, great job. Let's keep working together. I hope these things that we talked about are just things that you understand. If you do have questions, just send an email over or whatever. But again, thank you so much, and sorry for my tardiness in getting it back to you. All right, we'll talk in a bit.